There we go. Move this. All right. I think we're about ready to get started here. Give me just 2 minutes. Was it? Hey. No, good morning. Going well? Yeah, yeah. I hadn't started yet. I'm just about to get started. All right. We can probably get rolling now. All right. So we're going to do a recap. We're continuing through First Kings. Um, we're going to go on to chapter 6, chapters 5 and 6. And then if we have time permits, we probably won't get to get into chapter 7. But if we do have time, we'll get into chapter 7. What our main goal to do today is go through the scriptures. So chapter 5 itself, there we go. Chapter 5 goes through, a couple of different things as Solomon starts to build the temple. And chapter 6 is when he actually builds the temple. Now, chapter 6, there's going to be a lot of mentions of cubits, and it's going to be talking about a whole lot of dimensions. After we're done with our class today, might be a good idea. I'm sure there's plenty of people who have, there's plenty of artists out there who've put together what the temple might have looked like. Just if you're looking for a visual, I should have put together a slide. I'm not really a slide person. But after class today, try to look up, when you get home, look up what the temple might have looked like. Because it's kind of hard to get a visual just from all the different measurements that we have in chapter 6. But I want to do a recap, what we talked about last week. So a full recap of the biblical narrative. We had the judges. They were ruling over the people of the Israelites. God wanted to bless the Israelites so that way they could bless the world. And so you have the judges. Things were going okay, then not so okay, then really, really bad. So the people then ask for a king. Those people who ask for a king, then they get the king. So Saul is the first king. He reunites the tribes of Israel. Then we have David, and then we move to Solomon. A lot of things happen in that meantime. We have two different revolts on David's kingdom. So we have Absalom and Adonijah, who both try to become king, and eventually it falls to Solomon. Last week we went into chapter 3 and 4. What did Solomon do in chapter 3? He asked for something specifically. What did he ask for? He asked for wisdom from God, and God, because he asked for wisdom specifically, God gives him wisdom, but then he gives him even more. He gives him riches. He gives him land. He gives him overflowing. He makes his cup overflowing from what he asked for. So today we're going to get into chapter 5. I'm going to just start reading from there, and we'll get in and we'll ask some questions about what the text is saying. So 1 Kings chapter 5 is where we're at. I'll try not to be monotone because it's a lot of heavy reading on this, and we'll kind of talk about, we'll have stopping points where we have our discussion questions. But now King Hiram of Tyre sent his servants to Solomon. When he heard that they had anointed him king in the place of his father, for Hiram had always been a friend of David, Solomon sent word to Hiram, saying, You know that my father David could not build a house for the name of the Lord his God because of the warfare with which his enemies surrounded him, until the Lord put them under the soles of his feet. But now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side. There is neither adversary nor misfortune. So I intend to build a house for the name of the Lord my God. As the Lord said to my father David, your son, whom I will set on your throne in your place, shall build a house for your name. Therefore command that cedars from Lebanon be cut for me. My servants will join your servants, and I will give you whatever wages you set for your servants. For you know that there is no one among us who knows how to cut timber like the Sidonians. Okay, this mentions Lebanon. If you know anything about me, I'm extremely knowledgeable about flags of different countries. It's like a huge passion of mine. I'm curious, does anybody know what Lebanon's flag is? What's on the Lebanese flag? It's a tree, because that's what they're famous for, is their cedars. So this ties back all the way back to biblical times, and it still continues on today. So I just thought it was an interesting fact. But we hear Hiram talking about David, and I want us to discuss in your groups these first couple chapters. Hiram is talking about David, and what is he talking about? He's basically has an endorsement for David. So I want to talk about why that is significant. Why is it these first couple paragraphs where Hiram is talking about David? What is this meaning? Why is this alliance important, basically, with Hiram? So talk about that among your groups for a couple minutes, and we'll get back into discussion with the group. So we'll have a couple minutes. little bit more to what are some of the things we thought from the first couple paragraphs? What is significant about this? Yeah, absolutely. They had a good relationship. Anything else too? Yeah, and there's almost this reaction, at least it seems to me, there's this reaction of, thank goodness it's Solomon who's king and not Adonijah or Absalom, right? Thank goodness it's him. So I think that is, he knows David and he has a good relationship with David. Anything else that we noticed from these first couple paragraphs? One thing that I thought was pretty, we're going to continue on, but he is a pagan king. He's not a Jewish king. He's not a part of the Israelites, but yet he is giving a glowing endorsement of David. And it kind of speaks to how do they get to this point where there's somehow peace when the Israelites haven't had peace. There's peace on all sides of them. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on here. We're on verse 7. All right. So when Hiram heard the words of Solomon, he rejoiced greatly and said, "Blessed be the Lord today, who has given to David a wise son to be over this great people." Hiram sent word to Solomon, "I have heard the message that you have sent to me. I will fill all your needs in the matter of cedar and cypress timber. My servants shall bring it down to the sea from the Lebanon. I will make it into rafts to go by the sea to the place you indicated. I will have them broken up there for you to take away, and you shall meet my needs by providing food for my household." So Hiram supplied Solomon's every need for timber of cedar and cypress. Solomon, in turn, gave Hiram 20,000 cores of wheat as food for his household and 20 cores of fine oil. Solomon gave this to Hiram year by year. So the Lord gave Solomon wisdom, as he promised him. There was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. Okay, so what's significant about this statement? Hiram makes a pretty significant statement. What does he say? He praises the Lord. Why would he do that? He's a pagan. I mean, he's not a Jew. He's not a Jewish man. He's praising David's God. You go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. The peace. Yes. Yeah. The alternatives are pretty important to note. Yeah, Tony, you were going to say something? Yeah. Yeah, so he saw the fruits of David's labor and the spiritual fruits. So I think that's pretty significant. So we'll continue on to here and to verse 13. King Solomon conscripted forced labor out of all Israel. The levy numbered 30,000 men. He sent them to Lebanon, 10,000 a month in shifts. They would be a month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Adoniram, who was in charge of the forced labor, Solomon has also had 70,000 laborers and 80,000 stonecutters in the hill country. Besides Solomon's 3,300 supervisors who were over the work, having charge of the people who did the work. At the king's commands, they quarried out great costly stones in order to lay the foundation of the house with dressed stones. So Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders and the Gibeonites did the stone cutting and prepared the timber and the stone to build the house. Okay. So what I'm reading for this, and this is kind of where we're going to get into our next discussion question. The construction workers, the forced labor, were cutting these stones at the quarry. The actual construction zone was done not on site. It was done down at the quarry. Do we know? I want us to discuss in our groups. Why do you think that was happening? And why were Hiram? I mean, we're building the temple. The temple of the Lord's construction is being built. Why is that significant? That last paragraph. Why do you think it even gives us that detail? So we're going to take 5 minutes to discuss that. So go ahead and discuss it within your groups. It's a lot of work. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot of people. How many people? I don't know population numbers at all. How many people are in the city of Flint? Yeah. Is it like 300,000? Okay. So it's more than the city of Flint working on this one project. That's pretty crazy. To understand the grasp of that, yeah.
You got to think how many people are working in these shops.
Yeah.
I'm talking, we got shops in Greenberg, we got shops in uh, from from the expressway all the way down to Banjo Highway.
Mm-hmm.
We got we got factory down over factory
That's
down in
a lot of managers.
yeah.
All right. Come back now. What do we think the significance of that was? Of that they, of this construction piece. Any thoughts from your discussion? Yes. No, I don't think they did. Yeah. Yeah. 3,300 supervisors. So there's no getting away with not working either. So. Yeah. Yeah. They were. I mean, generally they were forced labor, but it's different. It's different than the Canaanites' forced labor that we're going to see later on. So they're treated better. So Solomon, with all of his mistakes, he always treated people who worked for him much better than the alternative. Any other thoughts? Go ahead. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. If they are constructing there, then they're not constructing and showing respect to the presence of the Lord, right? Uh, did I hear somebody? Yep, there we go.
You know, King Solomon didn't give him a choice. He was just following God's order. So they had they were following God's orders, and they haven't. They was doing what God wanted to do. That that what that's why you saw two separate groups in the mirror doing building the temple.
Hmm.
But God told King Solomon, "Hey, I want this way."
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I think one of the things, did any other, oh, Kevin, go ahead. Yeah, yeah. You think you could be a contractor for this project?
That also remind me about what it took to build Walt Disney World
Yeah,
in Florida. You know, I'm talking just the fourth part of the park, but that part, that first section of Disney is huge.
yeah,
And you can say you probably had tons. Walt Disney probably hired tons, millions of people to design Walt Disney World.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like a massive, this is a massive project before Power Tools. So you have 200,000 people who are working on this project. 200,000 workers. I believe that's bigger than the city of Flint itself. I don't know population that much, but I believe it is bigger than the Flint area. It'd be like every single citizen in this area would be working on this one project. So it's a massive scale project. And before we go on to chapter 6, I think one of the things that I kind of want to wrap up with this chapter before we move on is this is a chapter, this is the part that we're talking about Solomon's reign, but I see it as more of a testament to David. It's a chapter about David himself. So we've heard a lot about the negatives of David and some of the things that he struggled with, but he was always he always repented for the things that he did wrong. And what do we see in this chapter? David set up Solomon, right? The peace that we're seeing was because of his obedience to the Lord in some circumstances. And so we're seeing, what did David do what are some of the things that David has done to set up the temple being built? Anybody? So he created, he was a great warrior who conquered area, and he set up some of this peace. But another thing that he did too, it says in Chronicles, that he started to store up materials. He started to, because he knew that he might not build the temple, but his son someday would. And so he starts to collect materials. He starts to build up. So Solomon, when he becomes king, he's ready to hit the ground running. So this is a look at David's legacy as much as it is Solomon's legacy. Solomon's known as the builder, but he doesn't get to be the builder without David himself setting it up for him and being a man of God. So now we move on to chapter 6, which is the actual building of the temple itself. So if you want to, chapter 6, verse 1, there's going to be a lot of measurements. So try to stay with me on this one. All right. In the 480th year after the Israelites came out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Ziv, which is the 2nd month, he began to build the house of the Lord. The house that King Solomon built for the Lord was 60 cubits long, 20 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. The vestibule in front of the nave of the house was 20 cubits wide across the width of the house. Its depth was 10 cubits in the front of the house. For the house he had made windows with recessed frames. He also built a structure against the wall of the house, running around the walls of the house, both the nave and the inner sanctuary, and he made side chambers all around. The lowest story was 5 cubits wide. The middle one was 6 cubits wide, and the third was 7 cubits wide. For around the outside of the house he made offsets of the wall in order that the supporting beams should not be inserted into the walls of the house. The house was built with stone, finished at the quarry, so that neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron was heard in the temple while it was being built. So that kind of answers our question that we addressed in chapter 5. The entrance of the middle story was the south side of the house. One went up by winding stairs to the middle story, and the middle story of the third. So he built the house, and he finished it. He roofed the house with the beams and planks of cedar. He built a structure against the whole house, each story 5 cubits high, and it was joined to the house with the timbers of cedar. Now the word of the Lord came to Solomon concerning this house that you are building. If you will walk in my statutes, obey my ordinances, and keep all my commandments, by walking in with them, then I will establish my promise with you, which I made to your father David. I will dwell among the children of Israel, and will not forsake my people. All right. I want us to discuss in our groups from chapter 11, 12, and 13. God shows up and talks to Solomon. What is he doing here? What does he ask for? So I want us to talk about the significance of this and what this means for the future of Israel. So chapters 11, 12, and 13. What does it mean? I want you guys to discuss it at your table, and we'll come back and discuss it together. Yeah, verses. Yeah, not chapter. Yeah. Yep, verses 11, 12, and 13. going to come back. What are some of the things we discussed? Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. He's yeah, you're absolutely right. What else? Yeah. Yeah. That was part of that wisdom. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't mention so it's like this is exactly it's not yeah, exactly. And then what else? Chronicles, yeah. Yeah. It does at the end of First Chronicle. It does say that. I do remember seeing that. Yeah, so that's a good point. That's a good bring up. Anything else from your groups that you guys discussed? Yeah, constantly. Yeah, he's making it as clear as possible to Solomon. Listen, I'm going to tell you directly. Be faithful to me. I know you're going to sin against me, but I will always stay faithful to you. And so I think that's like in the yeah. Go ahead, Lucas. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. And it could get really messy too. And so I mean Solomon is a perfect example of that too. God gives him wisdom and he accepts that wisdom, but then he's disobedient later on. And so go ahead, Jay. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead. Hmm. Yeah. 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 We so often fail to remember the obedience part. Yeah. Absolutely. We fail to remember the obedience part. So I'm going to get into. I'll read the last part, and there's one more discussion. Oh, Mike. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely. Well, we got our answer. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's just so remarkable when you, just like Moses too, they're both seeing out things that they might not necessarily get to see themselves. And so they're continuing on a legacy that they know is important. And there's times when David failed that by raising some sons who were not so kind and not so great, but he still does what he can to accomplish that. So let's go ahead and continue the reading here. And there's one more discussion question that I want us to go over before we close out today. So we're going to go over, we're on verse 14. So Solomon built the house and finished it. He lined the walls of the house and the inside with boards of cedar, from the floor of the house to the rafters of the ceiling. He covered them on the inside with wood, and he covered the floor of the house with the boards of cypress. He built 20 cubits of the rear of the house with the boards of the cedar from the floor to the rafters. And he built within as an inner sanctuary, as the most holy place. The house that is the nave of the front of the inner sanctuary was 40 cubits long. The cedar within the house was carved of gourds and open flowers. All with cedar, no stone was seen. The inner sanctuary he prepared in the innermost part of the house to set to the ark of the covenant of the Lord. The interior of the inner sanctuary was 20 cubits long, 20 cubits wide, 20 cubits high. He overlaid it with pure gold. He also overlaid the altar with cedar. Solomon overlaid the inside of the house with pure gold. Then he drew chains of gold across in the front of the inner sanctuary and overlaid it with gold. Next, he overlaid the whole house with gold, in order that the whole house might be perfect. Even the whole altar that belonged to the inner sanctuary he overlaid with gold. All right, one of the things I wanted to just ask the question, and it's perfectly fine if you feel strongly about this or if you don't feel strongly. How do we feel about the temple itself? Is it too flashy? Is it too much? Is this a part of, I mean, these are clearly plans. Does the temple go too far? I want you to talk about that in your groups. Because we're very, I mean, I think we're very, like Jesus was very passionate about giving to the poor. And I want us to ask the question, is the temple itself, there's gold everywhere. It's this beautiful structure that's supposed to invite the presence of the Lord. Is it too much? So discuss with your group. Yeah.
I got a
Oh, you got a
picture.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, so we didn't even have to Google it. That's cool. My Bible never had anything like that. Looks like there's another picture on the other side here. Maybe that's the inner sanctuary. Oh no, it just shows the kinds of stuff that was in there. I think. Okay. All right. We're back together. What are some thoughts from your group discussion? Go ahead, Brian.
You know what? God wanted the temple. He wants, like, when you are building a house, you got a blueprint. That the blueprint that he gave Simon and what he wanted. When, so when when you told the architect, hey, I want this and this now. He followed that up to what you wanted. He designed it in your house the way you wanted. And no matter you spend any amount of money to get your house the way you wanted. That's what God wanted.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I haven't thought about messaging. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Emily. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah, I love that. And one of the things I think, another interesting point we talked at our table here, the parts that were most extravagant were the parts that most people didn't see. It was the inner sanctuary. Only the priest would see this. So why would you do that other than you're trying to build a presence, like build a place for the Lord to reside? So I think that's pretty remarkable to think about too. And so, Jay, you had we'll have you close this out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.